Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into Francis Ford Coppola's sprawling 3-plus-hour 1974 masterpiece, The Godfather Part II. We're going to break down exactly why this film isn't just a worthy follow-up to a classic, but is widely considered one of the absolute greatest achievements in American cinema. Produced just 2 years after the monumental success of the original, this film does something incredibly ambitious. It weaves two parallel narratives, bounding back and forth through time to tell a story of immense power and, ultimately, total moral decay. I knew it was you. You broke my heart. Before we even unpack the mechanics of this film, we've got to start with that devastating quote, spoken by Michael Corleone on New Year's Eve in Havana, right as the Batista regime falls and rebels seize the city. This line is directed at his own brother, Fredo. And honestly, it brilliantly illustrates the massive emotional stakes and utter tragedy at the core of our analysis today. You see, it's not just a movie about the mafia, it's a movie about the destruction of a family from the inside out. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at its status as the ultimate cinematic sequel. 2, we'll trace the rise of a Don. 3, we'll contrast that with the fall of a soul. 4, we'll examine the collapse of the family. 5, we'll get into some cinematic legacy and trivia. And 6, we'll wrap up with the enduring thematic takeaways. Let's get into it. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the ultimate cinematic sequel defying the odds. We all know it's notoriously difficult for a sequel to live up to a groundbreaking original, right? Well, The Godfather Part II literally shatters that expectation. It sits at the number 3 spot on IMDb's top-rated movies list, right behind the first film. It also ranks at number 32 on the American Film Institute's prestigious list. It's widely cited as the greatest sequel of all time, standing completely equal to, or, depending on who you ask, maybe even better than the original. Moving right along to Section 2, the rise of a Don, tracking Vito's upward trajectory. Let's map out Vito's incredible rise. We start way back in 1901, in Corleone's Sicily. After a local mafia boss, Don Ciccio, murders Vito's father, brother, and mother, the 9-year-old orphan literally hides in a pile of firewood and escapes on a ship to America. At Ellis Island, an immigration officer mistakenly records his hometown as his surname, turning Vito Andolini into Vito Corleone. By 1917, he's a humble family man in New York's Little Italy, where he kind of gets pushed into a life of crime. And finally, by 1922, he's amassed enough power to return to Sicily, carving open the stomach of an aging Don Ciccio and avenging his murdered family. Now, the crucial turning point in Vito's rise is this iconic promise. You know the line, "I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse." A Black-Hand extortionist named Don Fanucci is terrorizing the neighborhood and demands a cut of Vito's petty burglary ring. Vito tells his friends, Clemenza and Tessio, that he'll negotiate a lower rate with that famous line. During a street festival, under the booming cover of fireworks, Vito stalks Fanucci and assassinates him. But here's the thing. He doesn't just take power, he earns genuine respect. He becomes a community mediator, like when he famously helps a widow keep her dog by terrifying her arrogant landlord. He builds a loyal, loving community around himself. Which brings us to Section 3, the fall of a soul, focusing on Michael's downward spiral. The narrative structure of this film is just brilliant. It's basically shaped like an X. As we watch the prequel timeline of Vito gaining his soul, building a family, and earning genuine love from his community, it's immediately contrasted with the present-day timeline of Michael completely losing his soul. Michael destroys his family, spreads fear, and descends into total moral decay. The more absolute power Michael gains, the more isolated and paranoid he becomes. Look at how Michael operates in the present day. It is all cold, ruthless calculation. He operates without any of the warmth his father had. When corrupt Senator Pat Geary insults Michael's Italian heritage and tries to extort him, Michael has him framed for the murder of a prostitute at a brothel, forcing the senator's absolute loyalty. When he goes to Cuba, he plays a dangerous game of deception with aging mob boss Hyman Roth, withholding a massive $2 million investment because he senses the impending communist revolution. And when he faces a Senate committee, he beats the charges not with legal brilliance, but by flying in the brother of the star witness, Frank Pantagelli, straight from Sicily. The silent threat is deafening, and the witness completely retracts his statement. It's a masterclass in intimidation. As Michael achieves that absolute dominance, we arrive at Section 4, the collapse of the family. The brutality of this collapse plays out in a few distinct tragic steps. First, his wife Kay realizes she just cannot raise children in this evil environment. In a bitter argument, she reveals her pregnancy didn't end in a miscarriage. It was an intentional abortion to stop the cycle of the Corleone syndicate. Michael strikes her and banishes her forever. Then, we have the tragedy of Fredo, who betrayed Michael out of deep-seated jealousy. Michael publicly embraces Fredo at their mother's funeral, but gives a chilling look to his enforcer, Neri. The temporary protection has expired. It all ends with Fredo out fishing on the lake. He recites a Hail Mary to catch a fish, and Neri executes him. Michael just watches coldly from the boathouse, deciding that a family member who betrays the unit can simply never be trusted again. Okay, let's step out of the fiction for a minute and into Section 5, Cinematic Legacy and Trivia. To say this film was a success is a massive understatement. We're talking a staggering 11 Academy Award nominations, taking home 6 wins. This included Best Picture, Best Director for Francis Ford Coppola, and Best Adapted Screenplay. In fact, The Godfather Part II is one of only 2 sequels to ever win the Oscar for Best Picture, the other being The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. And the behind-the-scenes trivia is just as fascinating. First off, the real-life mobster Meyer Lansky, who the character of Hyman Roth was based on, reportedly called actor Lee Strasberg to congratulate him on the performance, though Lansky cheekily added he could have been made a bit more sympathetic. Also, Robert De Niro's win for playing young Vito meant he and Marlon Brando became the only 2 actors to win Oscars for playing the exact same character. You also have James Caan returning as Sonny for a single flashback scene, but he demanded the exact same pay he received for the entire first movie. Talk about an offer you can't refuse. Marlon Brando was asked to return for that same scene, but refused, feeling mistreated by Paramount. And amazingly, despite winning Best Adapted Screenplay, Michael's entire modern storyline wasn't even in Mario Puzo's original novel. It was written entirely for this film. Let's move to our final section, Section 6, Enduring Thematic Takeaways. So, what are we really supposed to take away from all this? A huge theme here is the inevitability of fate. At the very end of the film, there's this haunting flashback to December 7th, 1941. The family is gathering for Vito's 50th birthday, and Michael shocks the room by announcing he dropped out of college to join the Marines. He insists to his family, "I have my own plans for my future." Yet, despite his desperate early desires to carve his own legitimate path, fate inevitably pulls him into the very darkness he originally sought to avoid. He becomes the Don. And from that, we draw some incredibly deep, albeit grim, life lessons. We see the clash of family versus loyalty. Family is supposed to offer unconditional protection, right? But Michael's cold rationality dictates that betrayal severs that tie completely. We see diverging paths through Michael and Kay. Their deteriorating relationship is a painful reminder that love just cannot survive when fundamental values and lifestyles are irreparably fractured. Sometimes, a brutal severing of ties becomes the only way to stop mutual destruction. Ultimately, it's about the true cost of power. Gaining the world can literally mean losing your soul. The final shot of the film returns to the present day. Michael sits in complete, agonizing silence by Lake Tahoe, his soul corrupted, totally isolated from everyone he has ever loved. As we leave you with that haunting image, ponder this question. Was Michael Corleone truly fated to become the ruthless Don, pulled by invisible strings? Or did his cold, calculating decisions mean he actively chose his own tragic isolation? Consider how the choices we make and the lines we're willing to cross define our ultimate legacy. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the path you're carving for yourself.